Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to lecture 9 of our series of lectures about semantics and pragmatics. In this lecture, as I said in the previous lecture, we're going to start with topics related less about semantics and more about pragmatics. Both disciplines are closely related, so there is really no distinct line that we can use to cut through the two. But we have more some topics that are closely related to pragmatics more than semantics. So we'll start with the, before we get into our actual topic of this lecture, we want to differentiate between sentences and utterances. And this distinction is very important for you to understand before we get into topics that are related to utterances. So what is an utterance? An utterance is any stretch of talk by one person before and after which we have a pause or a silence. Here we have something that is said in a particular time at a particular occasion. An utterance is the use of the piece of language. So it can be either a word or more than one word, it can be a phrase or more, it can be a sentence or more. So it is the use of this word or this sentence or this phrase or these sentences, if we have more than one sentence, by a particular speaker on a particular occasion. So if you want to make this notion clearer to you, I want you to read this sentence out loud. There is a car coming. Okay, I want you to read it out loud once. So there is a car coming. And then now I want you to read it again, a second time. There is a car coming. All right. So the same sentence, here we was involved in two readings. So we read it twice. So here we have one sentence and we have two different utterances. You uttered the sentence two times. So we have two utterances of this one sentence. So we have two physical events that took place. Okay, when you used your speech organs to pronounce the sounds of this sentence. Okay, so the time it took you, the place where you are. So all the physical aspects surrounded here make for an utterance. So you made two utterances of this one sentence. So this is the difference between the two. We're going to give a definition for a sentence. So we said that an utterance is a physical event. And an utterance is a physical event. On the other hand, a sentence is not. It is neither a physical event nor a physical object. It is actually abstract. It's an abstract string of words that we put together by grammatical rules of a language, specific grammatical rules we have in each language. So a sentence then exists abstractly in our mind. So it's an abstract string of words, as we said. So it exists abstractly in the mind of language speakers before they say it, before they write it. When they say it, it becomes an utterance. A sentence can be thought of as the ideal string of words behind various realizations in utterances and inscriptions. So the previous sentence, there is a car coming, you can write it 5 times, you can say it 3 times and so on. So these are realizations of this sentence. So the more you write it, you are making more realizations. The more you say it, we are making more realizations. If more than 2 people say it and write it, we have even more realizations and we have even more utterances. So this is the difference between an utterance and a sentence. To make it clearer to you, consider this situation. If Ahmed and Ali both greet each other one morning, they both say to each other, "How are you today?" So Ahmed says to Ali, "How are you today?" And Ali says to Ahmed the same thing, "How are you today?" In this example, Ahmed made one utterance and Ali made another utterance. So we have two utterances. So this is one sentence here, "How are you today?" And Ali made an utterance of this sentence, and Muhammad made an utterance of, or Ahmed made an utterance of this sentence. So here we have only one sentence involved in this situation, but two utterances. Hopefully the meaning, the difference between these two are clearer to you right now. Okay, so moving on to our topic of this lecture, constitutives and performatives. So what is a constitutive utterance? A constitutive utterance is an utterance with which speakers describe something. And this thing can either be true or false. So this is what we mean by a constitutive. So we say it constates something. It constates something. It says, describes something that we can say is either true or false. So look at this example. I'm trying to get this box open with a screwdriver. If someone says this, and you can either, so he's describing a situation, and you can either say, well, this is true, or this is false. So this is an example of a constative utterance. So as I said, this utterance expresses and describes something which we may judge as being either true or false. However, utterances do not just function as descriptors. They don't just describe, okay? They do more than that. They can do more than just describing. They can be used to perform acts, and this is important, and this will move us to performatives. So a performative utterance is an utterance that does not report, like constatives, does not constate anything, and is not true or false, okay? In this type of utterances, the reason why these utterances are different from the previous one is that the uttering of the sentence is part of an action, okay? There is a performance here. So I'm going to give you an example, and hopefully it will be clear to you the difference between the two. If I say, I named this ship Discovery, all right? So what I did here is that I described something, and I also performed this thing as well. So I named this ship. When I say I named this ship Discovery, what I did is perform an act, an action here. So I did name this ship now when I use this utterance. So by uttering this sentence, the speaker actually names the ship. He did something. For example, let's imagine that we have someone who has a newborn baby, and he says, I named this boy Saleh, okay? So when he says that, now he performed this act. So he did actually perform the act by saying the utterance, all right? So this utterance, we cannot really say this is true or false, okay? It actually performs an action. So we actually achieve performatives or performative utterances by using a performative verb. So a performative verb is one which, when used, these are the conditions of a performative verb. We need to use it in a positive, simple, present tense sentence. So it must be positive, not negative, and it must be simple present. And we also need to use it with a first-person singular subject. There is an exception to this part. We're going to talk about it in the next slide. But generally, this is how we form performatives. So a performative verb is one which can make the utterance of that sentence performative. If we use a performative verb and then we utter the sentence, this is what makes the sentence, the utterance, performative. There are a number of performative verbs. These include promise, apologize, thank, approve, request, warn, congratulate, and others as well. So there are a lot of performative verbs. For example, when I say, I thank you all for attending, when I say this to a group of people, I describe the thing that I'm doing, and I also did it, okay? I thank them. When I said, I thank you all for attending, I did an action, I performed an action. Or I approve this message. When I say this, this means I approved this thing. As I said, there is an exception to the conditions we gave for performative verbs. Most performatives or most performative utterances have first-person singular subjects. There are, however, exceptions. The following are some examples of these exceptions. So, example 1, you are forbidden to leave this room. Here we didn't use a first-person subject. You are forbidden to leave this room. The second example, all passengers on flight number 47. So the subject here is not a first-person singular subject. The third example, we thank you for the compliment you have paid us. So we is not a first-person singular subject. So these are some exceptions to our rule before about performative utterances. But mostly you will see in performatives that we use first-person singular subjects. Performatives can either be explicit or implicit. So here these are two types of performatives. So what is an explicit performative? It is a performative that contains a performative verb naming the act. So similar to the previous examples we have observed so far, when I say I order you to go, we have this verb order, which is a performative verb, and it describes and the act, of course, of ordering. So it describes and also performs it. So if I tell someone I order you to go, and he goes, that means I ordered him, and I performed the act of ordering someone with this performative verb. On the other hand, an implicit performative, so explicit and implicit, even the meaning can give you an idea about what they mean. This kind of performatives do not include a performative verb. So this is the difference. Explicit performatives have a performative verb. Implicit performatives do not have a performative verb that name the act. For example, go. So in both examples here, we have I order you to go, and we have go. We can achieve the same purpose with both of these utterances. We can give an order with both of these utterances. So with go and with I order you to go, both did the same purpose. The difference is that the first one, I order you to go, has a performative verb, so it is an explicit performative. The second one does not have a performative verb, so it is an implicit performative. Hopefully the difference is clear. So consider these two examples. There is a car coming, and I shall be there. Are these examples of explicit or implicit or constatives? So there is a car coming. Does this perform anything or doesn't it? If it doesn't perform anything, that means it's constative. If it performs anything, is there a performative verb? Is it an explicit performative or not? These examples can be either constative or implicit performatives. How is that? If we use example 1 as a warning, if I say there is a car coming to someone who is about to cross the street, and this means I performed something and I achieved a warning to this person. So this is an action that I have achieved through using this utterance. So there is a car coming can be used as a warning, and in this case it is an implicit performative because there is no performative verb in this sentence. If I'm just describing a situation, if I'm saying that there is a car coming, if I'm sitting with someone, if we're sitting far away from the street, I just say there is a car coming, I'm just describing a situation. So I'm not really giving a warning, and in this case, this utterance will be constative. So it can either be constative if I'm simply describing something or a situation, and it can be an implicit performative if I'm giving a warning. Why is it implicit? Because we don't have a performative verb in it. And this is the same case with I shall be there. In number 2 as well, if we use number 2 to give a promise, okay, if someone tells me, well, please come to the meeting, and I tell him, well, I shall be there then, I am giving a promise. If my intention is to give a promise, this means it is an implicit performative. I don't really have the performative verb promise. I didn't say I promise I will be there, all right? So I didn't use a performative verb. I just said I shall be there, so it is an implicit performative. If I'm just describing something, I'm just telling someone, well, I will be there, okay, without really intending to promise him anything, this will be a constative in this case, all right? Hopefully the difference between these examples are clear. The difference between performatives and constatives is that a performative utterance performs some act. So this is when I tell you to compare the two. The performative utterance performs an act and also at the same time describes it. On the other hand, a constative utterance does not perform. This is important. A constative utterance does not perform the act. So the difference lies in performance. Does the utterance perform something? Does it warn someone? Does it promise someone? Am I thanking someone with this utterance? Am I congratulating? Am I approving, showing my approval of this sentence, of this utterance? So these are all performative verbs. If I'm achieving one of these performances, then this will be a performative. If not, if I'm just simply describing something, then it is a constative. Compare these two examples. I promise to repay you tomorrow, and John promised to repay me tomorrow. Are these two the same, or are they different utterances? Okay, one of them is constative, one of them is performative. Which one is which? Can you tell me which one is which? So which one does perform an action, and which one simply describes? So one of them both describes and performs. The other one just describes without performing anything. So the first one is the performative. I promise to repay you tomorrow is a performative because in saying it, the speaker actually does what the utterance describes. So when I say I promise to repay you tomorrow, I am promising. I am performing the action of promising with this utterance. So the speaker promises to repay the hearer the next day. So he's making a promise. So the utterance in this case both describes and performs the act of promising. By contrast, the utterance, the second example, John promised to repay me tomorrow, here it just describes the promise. It doesn't really perform the promise. If I tell you, John promised to repay me tomorrow, all right? Am I promising you anything? If I'm speaking to someone and I say, Ahmed promised to repay me tomorrow, am I promising the listener, the one I'm speaking to, anything? No, I'm not performing anything. So it does not simultaneously does what it describes. This utterance only describes. It doesn't do what it describes. It doesn't perform what it describes. And so therefore we say it is constative, not performative. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Speech acts. We're going to go and talk more about speech acts in the coming lecture. But just to give you an idea why we talk about constatives and performatives, we noticed that words and utterances, when we say them, we can use them to do things, okay? Not just to describe situations. We can actually perform acts with our words, with our sentences, with our phrases, with language. We can perform things with language. So we can use them to carry out socially significant acts. We can perform with language. So in addition to merely describing aspects of the world, we can also do acts. So the notion of a performative hopefully clearly illustrated this point to you. So we can actually argue that part of the meaning of an utterance is what the utterance does. What the utterance performs is actually part of the meaning. And as opposed to our previous discussion of meaning, we said meaning can either be about sense or reference. If you remember in our second lecture, sense and reference, we can also now add something else. We can say that what the utterance performs, what the utterance does, is actually also part of the meaning. All right, so we are involving now something more than just simply the sense and reference that are involved in an utterance. So in our next lecture, we're going to talk more about this in detail. We're going to talk about speech acts and the different characteristics and different types of speech acts. So inshallah, I will see you then, and hopefully you found this lecture interesting and useful. Thank you for listening.